Now we're in my YouTube. Let's see this one. So I searched what is leadership, right? And so let's go down to this. Defining what is leadership and who is a leader. All right, let's take a look. Of course, we got advertisements.
Build custom industrial machines.
You're the leader of a multi-billion-dollar company. You have thousands of employees who work for you. How could this be a hard question?
Let's see.
Now, the first question that I asked a lot of these CEOs that I interviewed, and by the way, this was the hardest question for them to answer. What is leadership? Who is a leader?
Yeah, I'm not too surprised by
and when I
this.
would ask all these CEOs on the phone or in person, they would always take a step back and go, huh, that's a tough question. Or they would say something like, nobody's ever asked me that before. And I would say, what are you talking about? You're the leader of a multi-billion-dollar company. You have thousands of employees who work for you. How could this be a hard question?
That's because they're managers.
Nobody's ever asked you this before.
That's because they're managers, not
And
leaders.
I started to realize that a lot of us take this concept of a leader for granted.
Of course we do. That's my whole point of my business.
We experience leadership and we see a leader in some form many times a day.
Yes, all the time. Could be your wife.
Sports, if your kids play sports, if you're watching TV, if you go to the grocery store. We experience and we see it in some form everywhere. It's kind of like water.
Yep.
If I had to ask you to define water, how many people would be able to define and explain water?
H2O.
What would you say? It's a clear, tasteless liquid? I mean, dozens of liquids fall into that.
Let's say H2O,
We don't
but
define water because we've all seen it. We all know what water is. And the same thing is true when it comes to leadership. We assume that we all know who a great leader is.
well,
What
he didn't say a
leadership is,
great
what
leader.
leadership
He said
means.
leader.
And one of the things that I found fascinating from the 140 CEOs that I interviewed, when I asked them all to define leadership, they all defined it in a different way. 140 CEOs representing over 7 million
Yeah,
employees on planet Earth.
representing.
They all
Leading is a
define
different topic.
leadership differently. But they also are all leading very successful multi-billion-dollar companies.
Oh my goodness.
So that really got me thinking.
This drives me nuts.
The problem is that we as individuals
Place word
oftentimes
manager.
don't spend enough time thinking about this very basic concept. Think about it in your own mind. How would
How
you
long is this?
define and explain leadership to someone?
Okay.
If you have a kid, a 5-year-old, an 8-year-old, how would you explain what a leader is to them? Who is the leader that you look up to and emulate and admire? So
Dave
think
Warman.
about that as we go through some of these things. And what I learned is that not only do we not
Dan
spend enough
Pena.
time as leaders thinking about this, but because we don't do enough of that, we also don't spend enough time at an organizational level thinking.
Oh,
about
they don't.
this.
No one talks about leadership
back
in,
to the
in most
original two
organizations, because most
Will a
people aren't
leader of
leaders.
2030 be that different than
Well,
the
they're not
leader of
acting as
today?
leaders.
And if so, how? So here's what I uncovered from interviewing all these.
Hiring a bunch of middle managers doesn't create a leadership
They all
organization.
believe that some core skills, some core things will remain the same, as I mentioned. Being able to create a vision.
Yeah, I gotta have vision.
Execute on strategic direction.
No,
But we will also need a new set of skills and mindsets.
you don't have to have any strategy
Why
to
do
be a
we need
leader.
a new set of skills and mindsets? Because we're seeing things that are disrupting our organizations. Technology, pace of change, automation, artificial intelligence, purpose and meaning and impact,
Global citizen
transparency,
is so
authentic
crazy.
leadership, the very nature of talent and what it looks like, what they expect, all these things are changing. And because these things are changing, it means our companies are going to change. And
I'm
if
getting
our
ready to
companies
comment
are
on
gonna
these
change,
things.
then we need a new type of leader.
Okay, this guy is like absolutely stupid. I don't know what's going on here. This to me is like an absolute clickbait video. You'll notice this is the top video on YouTube is what is a leader or what is leadership and who is a leader. He said nothing. He said absolutely nothing about the topic. This is absolute clickbait. This is the kind of crap I'm talking about. So I'm looking at this now. A chef mindsets, right? So there's this, you can't see my my cursor, but on the left there, they got mindsets, and on the right, they have skills. Mindsets: global citizen, servant, chef, and explorer. This is stupid. Let's see here. On the right hand, skills: coach, futurist, technology teenager. That's insane. Translator, Yoda. I just got to take a breath here. Coach, Probably. Futurist on some level, yeah. Technology teenager? Come on. I mean, like, this pen, let me flip back over. This pen right here, this is technology. Just as much as this was. Some might argue that this is more powerful than this. It's a pen. You write something down. I'll tell you right now, talking about leadership and influence. So I'm so passionate about this topic. What you write with this thing may be far more influential than what you write with this thing. This right here, it actually has imbued, like this is like, why I'm trying to get this down to you. This thing has imbued, like let me pull out some paper. Okay, we're going to ignore the topic, but you can see that this is like written with a computer, right? And like somebody spent time assembling this thing and putting text on paper. You know what that doesn't have baked into it? Your actual person. This pen can do that. It translates directly from your mind into something, and then when somebody hands to it, this is the power of analog. It's true that other thing could be disseminated worldwide instantaneously and quickly. That's true, but this thing has the leader baked into the actual document itself. If you've ever tried, right? If you've ever tried to write something, I've got like these stickies, right? So I started putting together these stickies. On this sticky, this piece of paper that's this big, I wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 words and a number. The reality is you can only write so much if you're doing with the pen. Therefore, you actually spend more time thinking about it. It's a little bit slower of a process, and the power of the writing is far greater than if you're just type. Especially if you hop onto ChatGPT and go, generate me some nonsense for somebody to read. Guess what? We're all drowning in the nonsense. If you write with this, totally different. I mention this because they're talking about a technology teenager. It's so stupid. What language is this? Let me go back to it. This technology teenager crap. If you're too paying attention to the technology, you're missing the point. But let's go to these mindsets because I want to poke on these a little bit. Servant is getting close, but there's servant leadership out there, and I like servant leadership. I'm slightly cautious about it because the depending on who you talk to about this, you're getting a lot more than just leadership. You're getting like their personalities, you're getting their values, you're getting their beliefs. I'm trying to jump onto what is real and break these things out and removing the political influences and the opinions and the personalities and stuff. And one of those things about this is I believe, now we're talking about my belief, when I see it, it isn't about the people, it's about the vision. The people want the vision too. And when you're going about influencing, when you're trying to influence people directly, you will run off the rails if you're not cautious about this, right? This is what I have seen. Vision is so powerful because the vision is the thing that's doing the leading. It's the thing that's actually doing, it's the beacon. And so the beacon itself is the thing that drives people forward, and the leader is there to serve the vision. And the various people that are around, he, she, whatever, is going to cater to poking the other individuals out there that are looking at this vision and maybe want it, but maybe are on the fence. Their job is to try to, kind of sail them, kind of sway them over to do the mapping of the vision future to them now. That's what a leader does. The problem with servant leadership is often it becomes about the people and not about the vision. And what that ends up doing is you end up trying to serve all these silliness that people have that, by the way, when you lead in a certain kind of way, that all just goes away. That's why I'm doing this podcast. I just gotta keep saying out loud because this is the stuff that drives me bonkers. Watching people like influence other people, like could be just a parent trying to get their child to be quiet. They're somewhere, they're at a they're at a grocery store or something like that, and they're being real loud, they're not end up applying leadership to the situation. They're actually applying management. They're maybe doing fear tactics and stuff like that. Like, you got to be very cautious about using fear, because you start to drift away from leadership. You're still trying to do influence, and influence still works, but it's in a different space. I said earlier that leadership is about a good it's about a good vision. So, I'm going to make a little note here that I'm going to have to do another video on manipulation. I can't go into that at this time. Don't have enough time about that, but it's super important to know the difference between leadership and manipulation. They both use influence. So we'll go about that in some other time.